Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move approval of the agenda.
Roll call, please.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Chairman Russell,
Aye. And I'm calling for public expression now. I understand there is none.
there is no public expression at this time.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 17th meeting.
Okay, move approval of the minutes of April 17.
Second.
Roll call.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Chairman Russell.
Aye. Okay, item 1 is resolution number 8570, reimbursement agreement between the County of Marin and MMWD for the Sir Francis Drake Boulevard Corridor Rehabilitation Project.
Okay, good morning. I'm here to present the updated agreement between the County of Marin and MMWD for the Sir Francis Drake Boulevard Corridor Rehabilitation Project. On April 7th, the board had approved Resolution 8561, which authorized the general manager to negotiate and execute a reimbursement agreement with the County of Marin for an amount not to exceed $2.9 million. On April 23rd, the County of Marin opened bids for the project, and the pipeline portion of that cost came in at $3,297,762, which exceeded the previously approved amount by the board on April 7th. I believe that the likely reason for this increased project cost is the higher premium that was charged by the contractor to perform this work at night on such a busy transportation corridor. If the district were to decide to do this project separately from the county's project, the county would be requiring the district to do a more extensive pavement restoration than what is currently being required by this project. I've estimated that additional cost to be around $1.6 million extra. So it would be a cost savings to the district and obviously a reduction to the public impact and disruption to the public and transportation by doing this project under this reimbursement agreement with the county. As you may have already heard, that the county recently awarded this contract on May 12th to Gelati Brothers, and construction is scheduled to start on June 1st. All that being said, staff recommends approving Resolution 8570, authorizing the general manager to negotiate and execute a reimbursement agreement between the County of Marin and MMWD for the Sir Francis Drake Boulevard Corridor Rehabilitation Project in an amount not to exceed $3,837,762.
How do you get from 3.2 to 3.8? Where does that come from?
Oh, so there is a $375,000 contract administration fee that we are doing a cost sharing with the county. And we also have a 5% contingency in the amount of $165,000 added to the cost for a total of $3,837,762.
Okay, one more question, Alex.
Sure.
What I read about this project is that they're accelerating the start date, which is, I assume it's June 1st.
Correct.
Is that going to remove the need to do this at night?
There will be some component of day work, given that the flexibility of the reduction in the traffic. So we will benefit from actually doing a portion of that work during the day, and the county is scheduling a partnering session with MMWD and the contractor to see and discuss any cost savings that could benefit the district. So there hopefully we could get some and bargain some cost savings for the district.
That's good.
Yes.
Okay. It's a little tricky to bargain after the contract's signed, huh?
Yeah.
My
Yes,
guess
it
is Gelati's not going to give you anything back, but because they're going to say, well, we could have to do it at night, So
yeah.
be aware you've kind of lost that lever on
Yes.
negotiating, huh?
So, could I comment or just?
Of course.
Our management fee went up about $100,000 on this one, which really seems pretty arbitrary. So, I'm not sure how that was really calculated. And, if there's any wiggle room or discussion room, that may be it, because I mean, it's the same project. It just seems a little bit arbitrary for our share to go up 100,000 on that part of the project. The other thing was on change orders under the contract. We have to respond to other contractors' change orders within 3 days. So that seemed a little tricky too. So, I mean, I don't want our district to sort of bear the cost of a change order caused by another contractor. So, just sort of pointing that out, because it just seems like it could be another area of increased costs on top of the project's inflation already. And then the last thing is on COVID precautions. I assume most of this work is going to be done in a pretty large trench, and whether we're prepared to really deal with that. So, Ben, I
Yeah,
assume.
Mike or Alex, can you respond to those 3 points? The 100,000,
Yes.
the mechanism for dealing with change orders, and the COVID protections?
Yes, absolutely. So as far as the first question on the additional $100,000 cost, that amount went up because based on our original engineer's estimate of the $2.2 million, it was basically a ratio of our pipeline project cost to the county's project. So that came in at a 273. So when the bids came in higher than anticipated, based on the price or the ratio of our new project cost to the overall project cost, that was actually higher than that. So I was actually able to negotiate down and split the difference with the county to 375, because it would have been over $400,000.
So
yeah,
no, I hear you. And so we didn't get a breakdown of the various components and the overall bids. So did our component go up higher than the rest of the bid from Gelati? In other words, did ours increase by a greater percentage than the remaining?
There was an increase on obviously the traffic control, because that's a lot of work necessary to get that dialed in for night work. So there was added components and requirements by the county that caused that traffic control cost to go substantially higher than was anticipated.
So, but my question is, there's several different components here. And ours was sort of a separately calculated component. And I'm wondering, did ours go up at a higher percentage than the remaining portions of the bid? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was some additional cost that went up from my estimated cost. So I haven't calculated what that percentage was per the individual bid items, but yeah, they did come in higher.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe, would it be possible just for you or staff just to send out the total bid package or the various amounts that each agency partnering is going to pay between bid 1 and bid 2?
Okay, I can do that. I will get that together and send that out.
I'm just curious to see how things got patched together. So
Sure.
I mean,
Sure,
I think we're kind of obligated at this point. This, as Ben mentioned, it's sort of a generational project, really. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I think the second question you had was regarding doing the work in the trench with the COVID pandemic currently in place in the shelter-in-place order. The contractor will definitely be, applying all PPEs in accordance with the Marin County shelter-in-place order. So they will be practicing, the respirators, whatever they need to do to make sure that their contractor employees are actually safe and working in accordance with the Marin County order.
And
so
obviously our folks too, you.
Correct. So we will definitely have a construction inspector on site overseeing that will also have their PPE and overseeing the project through the duration of this work. And then what was that third question? I'm sorry.
The change orders.
Oh, the change orders. Yeah, so once we get the change orders, they will be fast tracked through us. So that way we don't have more than a 24-hour turnaround time with our construction management group. So we could have and meet that deadline for the continuation of the project.
But to be clear, Alex, I believe our responsibilities would relate strictly to change orders governing or impacting the pipeline work, or perhaps a piece of overall work that we've agreed to a cost share.
Correct. So our pipeline work would be independent of whatever other activities the county's doing. So we would not be on the hook for, let's just say, their delay on their storm drain project. We will not take part of that. It's only related to any work associated with our water distribution main. Correct.
I'm not on you. I can't focus on any previous time where we've had a shared management with maybe we haven't. I'm just not thinking of it now. Isn't this a fairly unusual step?
Mike, do you want to?
We actually, Jack, we have done this before. We've done projects with the city of Larkspur and also with the city of San Rafael, where we've joined in and partnered with them to include replacement of pipeline along with a project that they were already undertaking. So we have done this before.
Okay. In the previous experiences, do we run into any problems of, just too many cooks in the kitchen, that sort of management problem?
No, they've actually gone very well. It's worked well with having the city or the other agency manage the contract. We have our inspector on the site to inspect the pipeline work, and it's really quite seamless. And there's definitely advantages to having the other agency be the lead. They're working with the community, and we're out there supporting them. So in all the experiences that we've had with Larkspur and San Rafael, they've gone well. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Alex.
That pretty much summarizes it. Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't we do it on Miller Avenue too? We sort of delegated our authority on Miller with all.
But we partnered with the city of Mill Valley on Miller. We didn't delegate our authority necessarily. We were out there inspecting the work as well, and that helped really expedite that project.
Yeah. And then are we doing, we're also installing new connections along the route too? To the various.
Yes, we are.
So,
The new services, yes.
New
I think we
services.
estimated about 70 new services going in.
and there's
Right.
some pretty big services along that corridor, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that, updated hydrants and all the appurtenances related to that
And
project.
are we redoing the service for Marin Catholic?
That's right off the corridor, so that would definitely be on the route of the new main.
So it might be worth talking to them about whether we can do anything to reduce fees. I guess, the main, it may not matter, but from that previous project or policy we had of working with the schools to try to reduce their water consumption. So just a thought.
Okay.
So. And there's another school there too, Basich.
Yes, right there next to.
So that's a public school, so that also might be worth just kind of keeping that in your back pocket. See if we can do anything to help them out.
Okay.
All righty. Can I get a motion to move it to the full board?
So move.
Actually,
Actually,
Larry, this is an action item. We're requesting approval.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then can I get a motion to approve 8570?
Moved.
Okay,
really
somebody?
quickly, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not have any public comment on
Okay.
this.
we still need a second, guys.
Oh, I see Armando doing it, but he's on mute. So
Yeah, there we go. I've been saying second to a muted mic. So sorry about that.
That doesn't work, Armando. We can't read your lips.
Yeah, actually I did.
Thank you. Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Chairman Russell.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Item 3, Water System Master Plan. Lucy?
Good morning. I'm very excited to update you all on the water system master plan. This will be an extremely valuable effort for the district to undertake at this time, as it will guide the district's capital investments for years to come. Over the past few months, staff have initiated these efforts to comprehensively review and evaluate the district's water system and prioritize needed improvements. This exciting project will result in a roadmap and a critical planning tool, ensuring the district continues to meet our mission of providing reliable and high quality water by way of optimally investing in our facilities. The district has an extensive and complex system, over 900 miles of pipe, 124 storage tanks, 95 pump stations, resulting in approximately 140 pressure zones. Taking all these facilities into account, the estimated replacement value of the system is on the order of $2 to $3 billion. The primary objective of the water system master plan is to identify how best to invest the district's limited resources across so many asset classes: pipelines, pump stations, storage tanks, reservoirs, dams, treatment plants, watershed. Approaching replacement of the district's aging assets requires a comprehensive and a strategic program that considers many factors: asset condition, useful life, hydraulic deficiencies, levels of service, criticality, and funding mechanisms. The master plan will be instrumental in guiding the district to optimally invest in those facilities in the right way and at the right time. Given the size and the complexity of the system, we anticipate this project will be in the $1 million range and occur over the next 2 fiscal years, resulting in a roadmap that will have cost-effective system improvements and projects. This is really an exciting time for the district to be initiating such an important project, stepping back and looking at the system as a whole to develop a course forward for the next 50 years. Typically, a master plan is developed when you're looking at expansion, which is when our last master plan was completed. This master plan will now be developed looking forward for the next 50 to 100 years, looking at improving and maintaining our system operability and efficiencies. We have initiated this project earlier this year with a request for qualifications from 11 different firms and received 3 really strong statement of qualifications. The request for proposals has been issued at this point, and we are looking forward to bringing you a recommendation for award of a professional services contract in August.
Why did you drop? It says you dropped from 3 to 2.
We had 2 very strong statement of qualifications that we received, and we found that it was, especially given these times with COVID going on and the remote work, it was really worth our time and the firm's time to really focus on the 2 really high quality firms that we received.
And who are they?
It is Woodard and Curran and West Yost.
Oh, that's interesting. No big dogs, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, within the 11, Larry, there were, you know, all the big names,
Yeah.
firms. But the proposals, the 2 that we did send the RFP to, have very strong teams and very good experience in terms of this work.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Obviously, the big dogs didn't respond, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
The feedback that I received was that a lot of the firms were very busy, if anybody declined at that point in time. And, you know, the firms that we did receive statement of qualifications from, they're very experienced and very focused on water agencies in California doing master planning. So we're very
Sure.
excited with the ones that we did receive.
Cool.
So is this, Ben, is this paid for out of capital or operations?
Yeah, this would be a capital funded project because it will be leading to capital projects.
Okay, any more questions? Any public comment?
There is no public comment on this item.
Okay, well, do a good job, Lucy, of seeing if you can negotiate that $1 million down something, you know,
Do our best.
get us a good price. Are they aware of the budget?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I guess that's it. Okay, Paul, you're up on demand response program participation.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
So this is a fairly straightforward item, just for information and discussion, really. Staff are planning to participate in a demand response pilot program for us. Demand response has been around for quite a while. I think even since the early 90s, when the California Independent System Operator and the California Energy Commission sort of were, they came up with these ideas for demand response that weren't very well embraced. But those two, agencies are really trying to incorporate as much demand response into their system planning, into the grid as possible. And mainly, the drivers for that are that it provides a more efficient electrical system with lower overall costs to them, and reduces the need for, new power plants and transmission systems. And for us as a user, it provides us the opportunity to make, decisions regarding our energy use that have a meaningful, significant impact. So, one interesting fact as I was looking at some of this is that across the nation, 100 hours of peak demand use accounts for between 10 and 20% of the nation's cost of electricity each year. So in thinking about that, it's just over 4 days of energy use could account for almost 20% of the nation's electrical cost. So it's pretty significant. And so this pilot program for us is, in that context, a very small step. But between the months of July and September is when California typically struggles with peak power production, usually from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we'll be asked one event per month for a couple of hours, so 1 day per month for a couple of hours over those 3 months, to reduce our energy use at 3 of our facilities. And there's no cost to us to participate in this. There are no penalties for us to participate in it. And there are potential savings on the order of $55,000 a year, or over the 5 years, if we choose to stay in the program, would amount to about $275,000 in savings. And of course, in a small way, helps us reduce our carbon footprint and do our part for California. So at that point, if there are any questions.
They send out a notice to us? Is that the idea? And we respond to the notice?
That's right, yeah. We get a day's notice, and what it means for us would be at, say, Tocaloma, San Geronimo, and the Ignacio pump station, which are, 3 pretty big energy users.
Right.
We wouldn't be shutting those facilities down. We would just be reducing them down to, say, 1 pump for 2 hours. Again, 1 day a month across those 3 months.
Wow.
And we've looked at it, and we have confidence that we can do that. And of course, if for some reason we were not able to do that, as I mentioned, there are no penalties. We just simply wouldn't receive our rebate for that particular event.
Wow.
So if we only had the Blueberry Ridge tank, it wouldn't be any issue at all. So the idea then, this is something obviously we could do on our own, huh? Except that this Voltus guy knows what PG&E is thinking, huh?
So
That's the idea.
yeah, Voltas are an energy aggregator. So they're able to go around to customers like us throughout PG&E's service area. And they'll put together a package of kilowatts or megawatts ultimately, right? And
Yes.
they will then bid that to PG&E as a package. And that's what allows them to give us a no penalty clause in our agreements with them, is they've got a bank of customers. And let's say if they had 100 megawatts put together, I don't think they do, but if they did have that much in California, they might be able to only bid 80, right? So they won't be affected if we're not able to participate in their program.
Sure. And what's MCE's role in this, if anything?
Nothing really. We just agreed, of course, to buy deep green power when we buy it.
Right.
And so there's no penalties there for us.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't thinking of penalties, Paul. I was just thinking, I mean, I assume they're aware of this.
I mean, these
Because I would also assume, you said that 4 days attribute to 20% of the power demand, but it also must attribute to 20% of the power bill, huh? Payments. So, you know, it's a great idea. I'm all for it. Don't misunderstand. But it's going to have an impact. Does PG&E charge us different demand charges based on time?
So
Okay.
yeah, we have different accounts with PG&E, different account types. Some of them are time of use, and others are not. In the case of Tocaloma and San Geronimo, of course, we can't really operate those exclusively during certain time of use periods. So we have different rates perhaps across the day for those, depending on the time.
The fact that and you're saying in your report says we can do this, you're confident we can do it without an impact to our customers. And I'm sure we do not waste energy, on a normal procedure. But what's the counter argument when somebody comes to me and says, well, the implication here is that you on a general basis are wasting energy. This is just a step to be more efficient. How do I counter that?
So obviously for 1 hour, if we were to reduce our usage at a straight rate, the benefit to this program for PG&E, if you recall, is that this occurs only during peak demand hours, right? So for PG&E, the benefit is they don't then have to turn on very expensive peak power production facilities across California if they're able to shave those peaks. So our confidence in saying that we can do this without affecting our customers is in part based on the fact that there are no penalties if we're unable to, for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge.
So Paul, the customer impact, I think, is what Jack was wondering. And of course, we have storage, and we would be using the storage for that time period. But for example, were it a red flag condition, that may be a time we would select not to opt in for that power because we wouldn't want to impact the potential level of storage. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yeah.
Or perhaps we wait for the PSPSs to occur, huh?
Well, they don't typically make those requests during those types of periods.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it wouldn't matter anyway, right? They're zero the demand at that point.
Right.
I think this is a great idea. Now, do we get a lowering in pressure because of this?
No. Again, we're not stopping.
But we're not filling tanks or something. But we're not filling tanks or something. Something's giving.
We
dropped to one pump.
We will be dropping down to one pump at each of those locations, but our tanks will remain full, obviously. So, and that's what really drives the pressure on our system.
And is it SCADA driven, or is it a person doing it?
In terms of the notification, or
no, the physical.
Oh, our SCADA, our system operators would be reacting to the requests.
So they have to manually
Yes.
drop it. The SCADA wouldn't
Yes.
do it on its own. Go
Well,
ahead,
it's-
Jack.
it-
Sorry, I
it
didn't
can be-
mean to step on
It
you.
can be done through SCADA, but it would be, done from our water system operators here in Coeur d'Alene.
Manually through SCADA, yeah.
Through the SCADA, exactly.
Do we on a regular basis drop down to one pump? I mean, is that a routine?
Yeah, depending on the time of year, for example, when demand is low, we would absolutely operate on one pump.
So is this a matter of simply scheduling when we do that? I mean, that may actually be the real answer to the question I asked. It sounds like it's something we do fairly routine, on a routine basis. It's just that what we're agreeing to now is to manage that with a sequential timing when it helps them as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's the key, is that timing.
Okay.
Paul, did they look at our entire system in making the proposal, Voltus?
We submitted to them a short list of accounts. We have maybe 20 electric services that account for something like 70–80% of our bill, and many others that just simply wouldn't have enough use to qualify for any of this program. So these are our sort of first three candidates that are really good for our pilot program to let us know what we can really expect out of this. And we may well add others as we go along.
Yeah, because
which we can do.
Yeah, because I remember PG&E came in and did sort of an audit of our system and raised the issue of sort of strategic timing of our power usage. So the other thing is, just for my understanding, what this reduces, when I get a bill at home, there's two charges. There's generation and distribution. So this would reduce the distribution charge from PG&E, I understand, or is that correct?
No, it's more complicated. The commercial bills have at least three charges, Larry. There's a demand charge, which is the rate that you pull the power in. So if you start 3 pumps, it's different than starting 1 pump. You get a surcharge put onto the bill by the electric company because they have to have the capacity, the generation capacity, to allow you to start those 3 pumps at the same time. It's kind of like the increased cost of a larger meter. It's the same idea, that the person can put more demand on the system. So it's a little more complicated with commercial.
Is that a PG&E charge or an MCE charge?
So if this particular program is just a demand response, as we reduce energy use, again, this is benefiting PG&E in terms of not having to fire up their more expensive peak power producing facilities. So it's really independent. So yes, we'll be using less power, but really the rebates are coming from this demand response program, not so much just in our individual utility, our MMWD reduction in power for 1 hour is just not that significant. But coupled together with 100 other customers that Voltus have, then it becomes a really significant benefit for PG&E. And across California, they're striving for something like maybe 3,000 megawatts this year. So we'll be contributing 1 or 2 of those, maybe, right?
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds great.
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
one thing it's
cool.
also doing is it's avoiding the need for brownouts in other parts of the state. So,
And also recall that these expensive alternatives they're talking about, that Paul's talking about, those are those gas turbines
right.
that stand by, the guys, they're jet engines basically waiting to be called upon. The gray ones that you see here and there around the power grid. So they put these big boosters on, which are far dirtier than their normal operations.
So this is an effort to reduce GHG.
In large part, yes. Yes. But it's also cost, huh?
Yeah, no.
Because the small guys are more expensive than the large guys. Okay, Paul, any public comment?
Great, thanks.
There is no public comment.
Okay, well, guys, thank you very much. I think we're
Thank
done
you.
unless anyone has something else.
Thank you all.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Take care. See you next week.